Hello everyone and welcome to a new video, a bonus one. We're going to do something a little different today, but I really love this character, so I thought, yeah, why not? It's been a while since I actually painted something, so I'm going to show you the whole process from drawing to laser cutting to painting. But if you want to skip directly to the painting, then you can go to this timestamp here. Alright, so let's get started. If you clicked on this video, you probably know this character already, or maybe you like the colors. Hopefully, maybe you like the colors. But this is, well, he's actually called Derpy Tiger, and he's from the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, which came out on Netflix about, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. And my YouTube feed is actually full of projects like these, or like similar to these, of drawing and making crafts around Derpy Tiger, but I just think he's so adorable. And there's actually quite an interesting story behind the design. So I will tell you first what we're going to do, and then we will jump into lots of different facts about the movie and this character and the Korean history and mythology, although I am not an expert on neither the country or, well, mythology a little bit, but more generalized because I did study anthropology. But I did think it was kind of important to do a little introduction because what we normally do in this channel is a bit different. We do, if you're new, we do vintage toys, especially My Little Pony restorations and customs. But I love painting, I love trying new things, and I love laser cutting and laser engraving things. So I couldn't miss this opportunity to have my own Derpy Tiger. And I also love seeing how people reinterpret or do their own thing with some of the things I start creating. So if you want to have your own, what's it called, plywood laser cut Derpy, you can find it on my Etsy. So enough about that, let's talk about what I'm doing now. I took an image from the movie, this is a capture from the movie, and I decided to redraw it because we want to have the paths as SVG format for the laser engraver. I used Adobe Illustrator to kind of trace the image, so it's not really drawing, it's tracing. There are lots of other programs you can use to do this. Inkscape, for example, is really good at this and it's free. Adobe Illustrator is not free, but I have the suite because of the videos and stuff. What we want to achieve with these is, on the one hand, we want to simplify the image, but more importantly, like I said, it has to be an SVG or like a scalable graphic. These are basically paths, like just a single line. Why? Because when we take it to the laser engraver, there is only one laser beam, so it's going to cut in paths. This doesn't mean that we cannot have fill. I will show you this in a little bit in the next step. I don't want to get too like dense or intense about this. I just love this technology, and as I mentioned in previous videos, I want to create a maker space for people of all ages, but especially young people, to try technology like this. A couple of weeks ago, I did the Commodore Pony, Commodore themed custom My Little Pony, and I was talking about the progress of technology and the speed of it and how different it felt back in the day when computers and the internet were more new things. And I have been thinking a lot about slow technology, calm technology, and creative technology. And I think laser engraving is one of many new types of technology that are fascinating on their own, but also allow for creativity. So are 3D printers, for example, and I'm trying to think, I think at the moment I have 3D printers and laser engravers, both of which have like a good range of like prices and or access points and like levels or expertise you need to try them, and they're available in some libraries and maker spaces. So don't doom scroll, laser, engrave, 3D print, but do it responsibly. Wear goggles, read the instructions carefully, and create. And if you feel like it, open a small business around what you create. Alright, Yisela, calm down. Okay, so like I said, I have been using the pen tool to trace these images. I try to keep the detail as simple as possible. I also trace them in red because red is one of the colors that the laser engraver will recognize automatically when we put it into the well, actually, that's not true. I believe if you use pure red or pure blue or pure black, some exporting programs will recognize those automatically as engraving or cutting, but that was probably back in the day. Now you can use any color. I would still recommend pure colors, so you know, RGB or red, wait, let me think, RG, red, green, blue. If you use those colors or those inks, I think it's safer because, yeah, I don't know, it's an easier color to find. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's move on to the next stage and get this printed. Alright, so it's time to start painting, and as you can see here, I actually did 2 derpies. I really like the one where he's like going down into the hole, but I used different line widths. I was trying some things, but for this project we're just gonna clean them using some alcohol. This will remove some of the burn marks and any leftover debris, and I have been wanting to try these applicators for a long time. I have seen them on TikTok videos and I thought, okay, yeah, I need to try this. The smallest pack was like 200, so I will also put some on my Etsy for like cost. Got some of my acrylic paints, and now let's start painting. If you have come across videos like this, you probably noticed they cut them so you don't see the transition when the person is picking up the paint. I left those because we have so much to paint, but if this is a type of now the cat is on my lap. Now if this is a type of content you enjoy watching, then I can make shorter videos for the light channel. I definitely have to try this a little more. I think you need more paint and smaller areas, but I couldn't wait anymore. I had to give it a try. And I also thought it might be a good option if you don't have very good mobility on your fingers. But then, as you will see soon, I reverted back to the brush because I love brushes. So this is not a no, but it is let's use it for a different kind of engraving soon, very soon. Now let's finally talk about K-pop Demon Hunters. I saw the movie for the first time about 2 weeks ago, I think, and then when my niece was visiting, we watched it again. And it was a slightly different experience watching it with me and my partner are both middle-aged, geeky couple, and then watching it with my niece, who is 10. I really like rewatching things because the second time and the third and fourth I can focus on different aspects of a movie or a series. For example, if I'm focusing more on the story on the first watch, then I can focus on the music or the framing or the colors and stuff like that. So, you know, those things like on a Friday night you'll find me rewatching movies. That is my answer. There is so much effort that goes into a movie or a series or anything like that that yeah, it's terrible. It's so sad to just watch it once. It's not the way to do it. If it's a good thing that people have put effort and love in, because there are lots of meh things or things to make money. I mean the ones where you can tell that there has been love, and I feel K-pop Demon Hunters is one of those really good, very well done, well thought out and kind of done with love movies. There are lots of other videos that talk a lot more about how the movie is made and why animation is so good. If you don't have time for those, I would just suggest you play just a couple of minutes of the movie without any sound, and you will realize like how well made it is. Alright, so why Derpy Tiger? Who Derpy Tiger? Derpy Tiger in the movie, it looks like a large blue cat. His main job seems to be, or at least initially, to like deliver messages between Jinu, the idol of the demon boy band, and Ruby, the idol of the girl band. And you know, I was thinking how every time there's an animated movie, there seems to be some kind of mascot or pet that is supposed to be like funny and comic relief and stuff like that. And the interesting thing about Derpy Tiger is that the name actually has a very important meaning. Like, this is not just a made-up character that they created for the movie. It is, but there is also a historical context. Context is always very important. Now, in Korean art, kind of older mythology, the role of tigers was to keep evil at bay, and the magpies would deliver good news. Now, as you remember, in K-pop Demon Hunters, there is the tiger and also the magpie with 3 eyes. Now, around the 17th century, the figure of the tiger began to represent something else, and it was the ruling class of aristocrats. I will link to an article where I am learning more about this. And because there was criticism against this class, they were painted in a certain way. They were painted in a way that looked foolish and derpy. And they called them, I don't know how you say it in Korean, but the translation would be something like idiot tiger. The Derpy Tiger we see in the movie was designed by an artist called Jesse Wong, and then picked up by story artist Radford Seacrest, I think is how you say it. Now, something that is quite good, I think very important, is that he wanted to make sure that they were being respectful of the tiger, because it is the national animal of South Korea. So they had an advisor who helped them in this process, and then for the final design, because the original cut was like 90% Korean Tiger and 10% cuts of the crew, but they had the help of a designer called Helen Cheng, who added the blue colors and made it a little more magical. And you know, when the artists and the producers were talking about the movie, they were saying, how can Jinu and Rumi communicate? Because he's 400 years old. Like, can he use a cell phone? Can he text? But there was this art made by Helen Chen. She's a production designer, and it was this image of Jinu standing next to a tiger. And they said, oh, maybe Derpy Tiger can be like Jinu's pet, exchange messages, and maybe the bird can go along. By the way, the bird in the 17th century, when the tiger started to become a representation of the aristocracy, the birds were actually the common folk. So I think it's also really funny because in the movie they kind of keep this joke that the tiger is very derpy and the bird is the clever one. Now, in the traditional paintings, the magpies, the birds, were just normal magpies, like looking like average birds, but just like they decided to make Derpy Tiger blue in the movie to represent that it's coming like from a magical realm or another realm, I think, or from the interviews I can deduce that they decided to add more eyes to the magpie in the movie to also represent that it's not a terrestrial bird, it's a bird coming from a different realm. There is also a little anecdote in the article I will link that I thought was so funny and it reminded me of some of our D&D sessions. So in the art, the magpie had a little hat, and they were in a brainstorm session and someone asked like, why does the bird have a tiny hat? And Kang said, oh, Jinu made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it. And then they added that line into the movie, and in a way I think that's fantastic because it brings humanity. It's like an immediate sense of humanity to Jinu, even though he is a demon, but he was human, or to some degree he is still human in some ways. So the fact that he like is making a hat for his pet is a very human thing. Or maybe the joke is, I don't know, it felt really special and it came from a real interaction. So this is what our Derpy looks like once the base is painted. Now we're going to add all the details and the highlights and the shadows, or at least we're going to try, because I really don't know how to create all of these things, but I thought it was a fun project to try. So we're going to use some acrylic markers and some acrylic paint. And for this section, I'll just leave you with some music because I don't think you want to listen to me talking for ages, and in case you want to enjoy this video on your own time, there'll be some relaxing music in the background. And I will see you in a little bit. Enjoy! let's take a look at the results. Ole. Here is Derpy Tiger. Sorry about the cat hair. So this is after sealing with Mr. Super Clear. There are some mistakes, especially if you get closer, you can see them. But I think this made me realize I want to learn how to paint. So I feel it had a positive impact on my life. I hope it wasn't too boring to watch and that you also learned how to not do some things, like I always say. Here is an overview of my chaos. And here is the second Derpy I lasered. If you have any ideas for it, please let me know and I can add it maybe to the light channel. But in any case, I'll see you very soon for the next pony project. And thank you so much for watching again. Hope you have a wonderful week. Let me know what you thought of these and see you very soon. Bye bye!